Greetings everyone, Baotao is back at it again with another episode of driNEWS. Hopefully everyone was having a great day. Anyway, let's get to the first news of this week. Let's start off with an unusual news that if it was not reported or recorded, no one will believe it was real. On 22nd of March, a Myvi was spotted in a park, which does not sound weird at first until you realize there are no paths of a car to drive into the park at all. After a few inspections, people found out that the Myvi actually flew into the park from the road beside the park. Even though we do not have any footage evidence that indicate it truly did, you can still confirm it flew into the garden by looking at the damaged bushes, the demolished ground on the side, and more. Through some investigation, it is stated that the Myvi flew in from the road and fly 50 meters above the ground. It also flew across one of the widest sewage drains I have ever seen in my entire life. And my guess is afterwards the Myvi driver just landed his Myvi on the side of the park, greets his flight attendant bye-bye, and walked towards the arrival terminal. Nah, I'm just kidding. But wouldn't it be funny if that was the actual case where the driver thought he was legit flying his car? That would be hilarious and also dangerous. Anyway, we do not get to know any extra information about the driver, but from the looks of it, I can assume the driver got off safe from the incident, and hopefully next time he can turn off airplane mode on his phone while he's driving. Coming back to a more serious news, 3 foreign workers were killed by a large crane structure from construction sites at Kuala Lumpur, which crashed onto the ground and flattened a car below it. The construction site is for an elevated highway, Sungai Besi Ulu Kelang Elevated Expressway, or SUKE. Unfortunately, a van with 5 foreign workers were caught when a scaffolding section on a part of the bridge went wrong, which resulted in a large crane falling down and causing the incident. The 3 out of 5 workers died from the impact, and the other 2 were rescued later by the rescue team. To think that the same thing happened almost 3 weeks ago, it is quite scary and jarring knowing that you could just die being crushed on by stuffs falling from the sky when you're on the road without even knowing why and how it happened. Thankfully, the construction site was then closed and stopped to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And hopefully, this will be the last time we be hearing this kind of terrifying incident. Another episode of driNEWS, another car accident involving alcohol. Hell yeah. However, this time the accident is a lot more severe as a drunk driver caused a 5-vehicle accident on 22nd of March at Jalan Mewah, Ampang. From the footage, we can see the aftermath of the crash, where cars are stacking on top of cars, which created a huge scene for anyone at the scene. After some investigation, it was found out that it was caused by a businessman who was driving in a drunk state and crashed into the cars in front of the shop lots. What really boggles my mind about this incident is how the hell is the businessman drunk at the time of the accident? The sun was still literally out there. I mean, it's not like it's not possible to get drunk when the sun is out there, but it does not make sense for me to get intoxicated this early in the day. Hopefully, whatever happened to this man afterwards will be punishing enough so he will learn his lesson and be a reminder to others to never drink and drive again. I think you already know what I'm going to say since I say the same thing every time we have an alcohol-involved accident. So, don't drink and drive, okay? Guys, please. Next, on 22nd of March again, a Mercedes was tailgating a Proton Saga, which resulted in them crashing into a rescuing scene beside the road of Petron Bukit Andra Bangsa, Ampang. The Mercedes driver was again drunk, thus making him tailgating the Saga in front of him dangerously. And yes, they did then dangerously crash into a rescue scene involving an ambulance and a police vehicle who were trying to help out an injured motorcyclist. The crash resulted in the rear end of the police vehicle being completely smashed into oblivion, injuring a few of the rescuing team, and luckily nothing major happened. The crash resulted in the rear end of the police vehicle being completely smashed into oblivion, injuring a few of the rescuing team, and luckily nothing major happened other than that. Thank God that the already injured motorcyclist was not again injured by this second crash, and this really pisses me off knowing that this guy could have possibly killed someone just due to his stupid act. That is just extremely irresponsible. Luckily, the 28-year-old Mercedes driver was then caught by the police on the scene and is now under investigation. Now getting on to 23rd of March, a man was caught on phone by a neighbor throwing a huge quantity of seemingly tissue papers and other rubbishes off his car at Pulau Pinang. The witness stated that she saw the man from her office who was already throwing the rubbish out of his car, thus decided to film him as an evidence for the officials. The Penang officials is now proceeding to investigate about the irresponsible man after receiving the report from the lady. Personally, I don't really get why the men want to do this. If the rubbish were like something extremely huge where you do not really have anything that can contain it at your house, it could be a lot more understandable. But this rubbish are just tissues and small rubbish, which could be collected into just a rubbish bin at your home. Doing this just shows how irresponsible the man is as a person, and I don't really like this type of person. Hopefully this guy can be truly tracked down by the officials and making him learn his lesson to not ever do this again. Finally, this is less of a new incident, but it is an update on the news we had reported before. Remember the operation where anyone that modified the exhaust of their vehicles will be faced with 2,000 ringgit of fine or be jailed up to 6 months of jail? Apparently the operation was quite the success because in less than a month, there are more than 4,000 motorcyclists caught in the operation throughout the entire nation. As said by the Inspector General of Police, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador, the police around the nation had issued a total of 4,087 summons for the offense during the 15 operations this month. He also replied saying that they still persist on this operation even though they received a lot of criticism at first, as the people argued that this operation will only cause more difficulties to the people. He said he believes this kind of modification only enhances the sound and look of the vehicles, which does not improve any part of the vehicle's performance. Because of that, people will be driving their vehicles falsely believing their vehicles are able to handle the speed. After hearing what he said, he does have a point, and I think this operation definitely will make the streets safer for everyone. Hopefully this operation will be a success and change the driving behavior of everyone on the nation. Alright, it's that segment of the show again, where we will be looking back at the events and incidents that happened on this date throughout the history. The history on this day. On this day in 1966, a tragic event happened on 12-hour Sebring race when Dan Gurney, who were leading the race, stopped on course and causing him to be crashed by Ken Miles and Lloyd Ruby in a Ford GT X1, and ironically, both of them won the race together. Unfortunately, 4 of the spectators were killed by the crash. Truly tragic and sad event. On this day in 1923, the construction of the Milan-Varese Autostrada at Italy had begun, which will make it the first interurban limited access ever after it finished its construction a year later. And that's all for the history. The history on this day. Now, let's have a look at the latest oil price of this week. Okay, that's all we have for today. Was the episode entertaining? Did you enjoy the show? Let us know in the comments below. It will help us out a lot. Don't forget to like and follow our page. Either way, it's been Bao Tao, and I'll see you next time.